All right, Sebastian, we're back. And this time we've got a new topic, infinite banking.
Yeah. There's so much content around infinite banking. What is it actually?
Yeah, there's a lot on social media about it, and it's one of these things where I get fed it all the time. It's probably my algorithm, but you just can't learn about it in a reel. And so it's kind of complicated. But at its core, it's a strategy and a mindset. And you see a lot of it on social media because it does involve a life insurance policy, and therefore it drives sales to life insurance
Yeah.
naturally. And so there's content around it that's kind of designed to drive that. However, it's not just a life insurance policy. So if somebody does a lot of education on it on their own and says, okay, I think I get it. I'm just going to go to my agent buddy to go get a policy. Um, they're not engaged in infinite banking because at its core, you need to see the policy itself for what it's supposed to be, which is a warehouse of capital. So when you see people talking about it as a investment vehicle, it's not an investment vehicle. Life insurance is not an investment. It is a store of capital and it's used to mitigate risk through the death benefit. So if you have that right mindset on it, you're one step in the right direction. The next piece is, well, what's the purpose of it? So why am I storing capital here in my policy instead of in the bank? So one thing is, do you really want your money in the banking system? Because infinite banking is in fact setting up a different banking system, and therefore it's a different mindset shift. So if you get to the point where you say, hey, I see that there's a benefit to moving capital out of the banking system, creating my own banking system, you're already one step in the right direction. The other part is, all right, if it's my savings account and it's being used for storing capital, then what else am I doing with it? If it's not an investment in and of itself, even though it's getting a dividend. And
Yeah.
that part that's where you get into the idea of saying, well, when I need to take a loan, I'm borrowing from myself. So I'm not going to the bank to get a car loan. I'm going to go to my policy, take a loan, and I'm going to treat it like a car loan. I'm going to sit there and say, I borrowed X dollars. If I were to go get a car loan, it would cost me $650 a month. So I'm going to pay myself back $650 a month. The benefit to that is at the same time that you're paying yourself back your $650 a month, your policy itself is still getting dividends on the total cash amount. So you're getting your crediting, and so you get to the end of paying back your loan, and you've got your dividends in there as well. So there's that. There's other areas where it works really well, but I'm just trying to give a short example that's longer than a reel, but shorter than the full education you really need to have on infinite banking, just to give the insight that, hey, it's not something super simple. It does take a mindset as well. There's definitely a lot of considerations. You will absolutely hear people talk about the policy being designed correctly, and that isn't it's overused term, but it is really important. It has to be designed for cash accumulation. Um, and and that's an important component. So if you go to your agent that doesn't do these regularly and you say, I want a whole life policy, it may not be set up to get max accumulation.
Okay. Like who does this actually work for?
So where it works really well, if I have somebody who's interested in it and is asking me questions about it, some of the things I'm going to ask them is, well, what do you invest in? So if somebody is corporate W-2, they have their qualified accounts, their Roth IRAs, and all of their money's in the market, and they have no interest in investing in real estate or private equity, they're probably not the right fit. Where it's a really good fit and where I've seen a lot of success with my clients with this are the ones that do invest in their own businesses, other businesses through private equity and through real estate. And so they're taking policy loans and they're putting them into those where they're earning incredible IRRs. And they're saying, hey, because this is a flexible loan, I don't have to pay it back at any specific time. I can park it into real estate and I can sit there and make payments back as the real estate cash flows, and I can pay the rest of it back when I sell the property. And that works really, really well. So that's kind of the avatar is, hey, are you investing in real estate, private equity, or your own business? And if so, it might be a good place to move some of your capital, not all of it necessarily, but some of your capital and start building up that bank.
Okay. And then real quick, do you have like any recommendations like for books or anything like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, so even being in the life insurance space for a long time, I used life insurance for very, very high net worth families doing wealth transfer and estate planning. When I started to learn about infinite banking, the first book that was recommended to me and the book I do recommend to other people is Becoming Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. Nelson Nash is kind of the godfather of infinite banking. He's got a whole institute out there, a lot of education around it. So if you're looking for education, you'll find plenty of it online, but I would start with Be Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. I think that's a really good core one. Another one I think is good after you've read that is Garrett Gunderson, who also puts out really good content on it. What Would the Rockefellers Do? And this book is good. There's a lot of content out there about Rockefellers using infinite banking. I think that's a little bit oversold. The Rockefellers did a lot of really good trust planning. They also happen to use life insurance, but Garrett does a good job of kind of outlining some of that stuff and puts out some pretty good content. So those would be my two recommendations.
That is amazing advice. Guys, if you want to get more information, we're going to link our information down below. And again, Stephen, this is great. I look forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, Sebastian.
You're welcome.